Hello, we're back to You Are Not Alone. And I always say building your team. And Bridget is one of those that you want on your team. I am going to say this. This is not on the script, Bridget. You are the best estate planning lawyer in all of the Carolinas. And I know, unfortunately, I serve both Carolinas, North and South, but can you explain why I would not be able to refer someone in North Carolina to you?
I sure can, primarily because I am not licensed to practice law in North Carolina. So I chose to, even though we're on the border of North and South Carolina, I chose to just be based in South Carolina because there's a lot of families here that need my help, and I like to concentrate and focus in certain areas.
And scam alert, the laws are so different in every single state. And I see that in healthcare. Everything is different. So if you do hire a online person or online, what do they call them? Boilerplates. I'm trying to get used to that word. Then you are in trouble, probably in trouble, because the laws are so very different and things get very tricky. And I have seen it on my side. And when it comes to advocacy as a board certified patient advocate, I am not a doctor. I don't tell people what to do. I don't diagnose people. The same thing, I am not a lawyer. That
Yeah.
stuff is so key.
It is
So it's,
because people don't stay in their lane, Rachel. As you and I talk about quite frequently, there are some professionals that go into other people's professional lane and they shouldn't. It's to the detriment of their clients.
yeah, absolutely. Now, in the last episode, we talked a little bit about choice, but today we're talking about framework. And you developed with a nurse and a patient advocate, me, something called, which I think is so needed. And I don't think people know that they need it yet. And especially with people aging in place, solo agers, and the list goes on and on. But it's called the Peaceful Living Plan. Bridget, why didn't a
Yes.
standard isolated legal document feel like enough anymore? Why would you develop something with other people and not just say, you know what, I'm an estate planning lawyer and this is what I do. I don't need to bring other people on because that could be the biggest headache, right? It could
Yes.
be because you're
The
dealing
thing
with other people.
Well, as an elder law attorney, one of the things that we deal with quite a lot is long-term care planning and planning for end of life. And as an estate planning attorney, I wanted to bring together a support network for my clients who wanted to maintain their dignity, their control, and flexibility for planning for those events in their life before crisis happens. And I stay in my lane. I look for good people in the community that I can bring to the table for my clients. And working with you and Tara, our end of life doula, who's helping out in this partnership, just felt like the right thing to do for clients because then when the worst happens, not only do we have this plan in place that legally protects them, but also puts into words what they want in those worst case situations. Sometimes people only have the ability to go to a Medicaid facility in long-term care, but there are so many people out there who have been trained by marketing messages and things to think that they shouldn't have to pay for their long-term care, that Medicaid is the only option, and that the goal is to protect their assets. But that doesn't have to be the case. Particularly for my husband and I, we know that we want to stay at home as long as we possibly can. We don't want to burden our children, who both do live close by and would be able to help us, but they have their own lives. And we want to have a plan in place that when something happens, they just open up the plan and they have the people in place to go to execute on that plan. And I would love for all of my clients to have that peace of mind.
You know, as an advocate, I look at the chaos between specialist appointments. In our written plan framework, we target things like care preferences and keeping your independence at home, which is really important. If we can talk a little bit about We'll call her Carol Brady. I learned that from you. When we are able to share, testimonials are so powerful, aren't they?
Mhm.
So we're going to call our shared client Carol Brady. And when we sat down with her, it wasn't just about check boxes. And that's the difference between, I want to get an online, this, that, and the other, even an online patient advocate. It has to be check boxes because part of
Right.
our value, right, is getting to
Right.
know people.
Mhm.
And one thing I know you do, and I know I go off script, Bridget, is you are known to go to kitchen tables and spend time with your families. So, but it wasn't when we worked with Carol together, we did not have check boxes. We never talked about check boxes. It was creating a full safety net, and it came from right here, our hearts.
Yes.
You talk a
Yep.
little bit about that.
Yeah, so I would say that the way that I have approached estate planning is a little bit different than most attorneys. I lead with my heart, with the legal practice being the basis for allowing me to help lead with my heart, because I can then use what I know to help people maintain their autonomy, their dignity, and to essentially leave their family legacy, whatever that looks like, when they pass, to the people that matter most and the organizations that matter most to them. So putting it together a plan that goes beyond the legal documents and puts a structured care plan in place, gets people talking about what they would want if they did have to go into a nursing home. Because I haven't met one person that said, Bridget, when I get older, I want to go to a nursing home. I know it. That's what I want to do. Nobody says that. Nobody wants to go to a nursing home. But the reality is the statistics are startling and they change so frequently. The baby boomers are turning 80 this year. The youngest of the baby boomers are turning 80 this year. And we have a crisis coming in the United States because there aren't enough caregivers, as I'm sure you see that all the time. There aren't enough facilities, and the cost for the care is so exorbitant that most families, it will cause them to either lose all of their money or turn to Medicaid to pay for their long-term care, which one thing that I would like to clear up for folks in South Carolina, Medicaid facilities are fewer and far between, especially in our area. In Massachusetts, where I had previously worked, every facility in Massachusetts had Medicaid beds available. They weren't 100% Medicaid, but they had beds available to people. Here we only have a few certain facilities, and people don't realize that. They think that they can go and apply for Medicaid and go to Wellmore. And the reality is Wellmore doesn't accept Medicaid. That's a private pay facility. And if you want to receive the care that Wellmore is known for, then we need to find other ways for you to utilize your existing assets to pay for that.
Well, based on our conversation, I have so many more questions. But I've got to save that for the next episode, which is going to be on hard conversations. But I didn't know that our baby boomers, the tail end is approximately 80. Is that correct?
The beginning, the
beginning. I'm
beginning,
sorry, the beginning.
yeah.
The beginning.
Yeah, it's turning 80 this year, and there's a lot of them. And we're living longer. Our quality of life for most people, thankfully, is better into your 70s and 80s. But the reality is you still may need some assistance with some of your activities of daily living. So how do you pay for that? How do you plan for that? Who do you want helping you with that? And most importantly, with the peaceful living plan for me was building your core support network. So when there was a problem, you had myself, you, and then Tara, our end of life doula, to come to in that situation. So the family wasn't scrambling to figure out what mom would want, what to do. We can't find her a bed anywhere. We don't know what she wanted at end of life. Did she want artificial nutrition and hydration or not? So just trying to make less chaos and more peace for those folks entering the later stages of their lives.
Thank you for explaining that. And thank you for, as we say, you being the quarterback. Such a wonderful vision. And for those who are not familiar with Tara, I did a podcast, my very first podcast with Tara, several weeks ago, and she's a death doula. So I strongly recommend people take a look at that because that is a role that we are definitely going to need. So I am going to save the next topic is going to be hard and it's going to be tough conversations because this is never easy.
No.
So I will see you on You're Not Alone and building your care team on our next episode. Thank you so much,
Thank
Bridget.
you.